Hi, this is A Smaller Life, a podcast hosted by me, Saskia de Feiter. I am a small business owner who wants to grow by going smaller and choose better to do better. Join me on my journey where I figure out how I can make my needlecraft business relevant in this era and in my personal life. All right, welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. I am stepping outside of my comfort zone today. I'm doing a solo show, and I think I've only ever done once before when I was telling the story of how and why I closed my shop. And today, in all honesty, I wasn't prepared. Time just crept up on me, as it sometimes does. And I wasn't ready in time to have a bunch of interviews. I have some lined up, but with COVID and basically my calendar at home and with work and the kids and everything, I kind of got messed up. I like to talk about planning and focus and all of that. But one of the things that we all are learning, I'm no exception, is that sometimes things don't go as you plan. You can plan all you want, but sometimes things just go differently. And then you have to sit, redirect, and start over again. And so I thought it was a good idea to make planning and time a subject for today. And what I did was what I've been doing with the business club that I host on my online community. What we do there is we are talking about content and how to collect content for our businesses and how we can have our audiences connect with us through information and inspiration that we can share. And that could be newsletters, podcasts, blog posts, social media posts, stuff like that. And sometimes it's just so hard to know what to talk about. So we did a bunch of exercises, and I have this step-by-step process that makes you work to get, I think at least 3 months of content comes at the end of when you do those steps. Obviously, I've done it before for myself, and now the people in the business club are doing it too. And I thought, you know what? I'll just do it again, because times change, things change, people change, circumstances change. It's super frustrating because you always feel like you're working towards this nice routine. Like you're always in your head, you're thinking, I'm working towards getting a routine. Like every day I do things a certain way and things will flow. And obviously, yes, a lot of it is true, but then there's life. And this will never, ever change. So there's always something that goes, well, not the way you planned, like it's happening to me right now. So what you need to do is to have an open mind, to be flexible, and to be willing and able to pivot and change and focus and refocus. And this is just a part of everyday life in general and in business too. So what I did was I did that step-by-step process, and within 2 hours, I have made a list of content ideas that will last me, I don't think you'll believe it, but like this afternoon, I made topics that will last me a year. So that's just 2 hours of work. And there's different things that we do, but I have now a spreadsheet with topics and ideas, and you can make time. It's actually possible. If you know the right things to do and how to do them, if you have support and inspiration around you and people you can bounce ideas off of, it's not that hard. But the weird thing is that when you are super, super busy, it's super hard to sit down and to make time, right? You just want to go, go, go and fix this and do this, and this is waiting, and that person needs an answer. And well, you should be going down, breathe from your stomach, and then take some time to make some time. This works in businesses, and it also works in your day-to-day life. And obviously, it also works like that with your crafting. So I made a free download with 10 tips to make time to make. So I'm going to talk about it in this episode, and it's super weird for me to talk into the void. You might think, why is she being shy? She can do this. She has like 26 episodes already. And that's true, but it feels really weird to talk into the open air. When I listen to podcasts, I listen to solo shows all the time. But I just feel so much more comfortable in an interview. I mean, I want to talk to a person, listen to what they have to say, react to what they say. And it is so much easier for me. But I have friends with podcasts too, and they feel the opposite. They are scared of doing interviews, and they're not comfortable talking to another person, and they are much more comfortable talking to themselves. But, you have to sometimes get out of that comfort zone to try different things and see what you can do. So here I am. This morning, I have made time for myself to find out what kind of subjects would be interesting for all of you. And I basically, at this moment, have two groups of people that listen to my podcasts, read my mails, and or are in my community. And they are makers and sellers. Most of the sellers are makers too. So I was thinking of something I could do that helps all of them. And so I thought it would be interesting to talk about how we can make some time to do more crafting. The reality of what time actually is, it's sometimes a little bit like sand, right? You cannot really grasp it. You cannot really hold it in your hand because sometimes time is slow and sometimes it's fast and all of that stuff that Einstein was talking about. But we really need to make time to craft because crafting makes us whole and happy. Because what I've learned in the last couple of years, especially the last year, is that crafting is a necessity for my health. I really need to make things to feel good. I need to sleep well. I need to eat well. I need to move. But I do really need to make things. And for me, that's needle crafting. I don't think I like baking. It doesn't work the same way for me. I really need to feel fiber with my hands and have either a spinning wheel or some needles in my hands and make something with that. I don't necessarily need to make something that is magnum opus. I don't feel the necessity to make something grand every time I make something. I could be perfectly happy knitting a garter stitch shawl, but I really need to make. And then life happens and you're super busy, you're not feeling well, and time goes on and you're like, why am I feeling so shitty? And then you realize I am not spending time with myself and with my craft enough. Hello, friends. I just want to say something to you quickly. So if you're liking the podcast, if you're liking what I'm talking about, consider joining the mailing list. I have bi-weekly updates on the podcast and or business insights and tips. The occasional exercise to get you ahead. If you want to actually talk to other business owners about the things that I talk about here on the podcast,
why not become a Yavol community member for as little as €8.50 a month? That's like buying me coffee and a croissant. But don't do it for me though. Do it for yourself, because I promise that you will get something out of it, either the emails and or the community. So you can either go to the show notes or sign up through yavol.myflowdesk.com/pattern shift. I hope you'll join us.
I've sent out 5 questions to my mail readers. They replied that they wanted to learn more about planning and having more time to make. So let's start. 1, find out how much time it takes to make something. Right. So in our community, we have a returning challenge that we call the 50-gram challenge. What we do is we knit 50 grams of our favorite weight of yarn, and we time ourselves knitting it. So we figure out how long it takes to knit 50 grams. It's super hard not to try to make anything out of it because it's really just supposed to be a test to see how much time it takes to knit. Because if you know how much time 50 grams take, you can figure out how long it'll take to knit you a sweater or a scarf or anything that you would knit with that weight. That's so valuable to know. Although it's very frustrating to just knit a swatch from one ball of yarn, you can frog it later and use the yarn for something else. Or if you really feel like you need to make something out of it, just keep knitting after the 50 grams and make a scarf if you really, really cannot stand the fact that you're not making a thing. I have been known to keep knitting and make a shawl. I'm saying your favorite weight of yarn because it's going to be most representative of what you do. But so let's say your favorite weight is a DK weight, and you figure out that it takes you 4 hours to knit 50 grams of DK weight. Then you can also have an idea of how much time it will take you to knit fingering weight or chunky weight. It's not precise, right? It just gives you an idea. Knowing how much time it takes to knit these 50 grams will help you with step number 2. It's not really a step, they're separate, but like tip number 2, make a plan based on the insights you've gained from knitting your 50 grams of yarn. Because when you have a plan, you can reach your goals, and reaching goals gives you a sense of achieving. And that whole feeling just coincides with the feeling of using your time wisely. And if you use your time wisely, you will have more time left. It's not an exact science, but I think you know what I mean. Let's move on to number 3. Assign different projects to different parts of the house or your life. So let's say I have an easy scarf on the couch for knitting at night when I'm tired and when I'm watching TV. So I don't have to count my stitches or do anything complicated. I'm knitting a sock in a dark yarn, and it's downstairs where I am in the morning, and it's really light there. So that makes sense. So I have throughout the house, I have placed some different projects. I have my spinning wheel next to my desk, and I spin before I get to work. And that is part number 4. Connect crafting to another daily routine. So it has to do with the space in your house, but also the time and also the thing that you do during the day. So I connect that dark yarned sock to my morning coffee. So it's a specific space, a specific time, and a specific routine or thing that I do. So every morning I knit a little bit on that sock. And all these small increments of time help me move on. The sock will get done. I could also not knit in the morning after breakfast with my morning coffee. I could read a paper, but we're talking about making time to make. So this is what I do. And then I have my spinning wheel next to me and I spin before I get to work. I empty my mind, I get in the right mind space, and then I start working. And coincidentally, I have spun 10 or 20 grams of yarn every day. It adds up. And every night I knit on a really simple scarf, but then I'll have a scarf done to gift to a friend or family member when it's done. And every day the scarf gets a little longer. So all these little bits and pieces work together to get things done, connecting them to routines, to spaces, to parts of your life that really, really helps. All right, moving on to tip number 5. Get rid of the Bermuda time angles. That sounded far more funny on paper. But anyway, so as you've heard me talk about before, social media was my biggest time sucker. And I got rid of all of it after reading Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport and 10 Arguments for Deleting Your Social Media Accounts Right Now by Jerome Lanier, and seeing the Social Dilemma documentary. I was an utter addict, and it didn't serve me, and it didn't even really serve my business. So I said goodbye to social media. I haven't looked back. I don't regret a single second of all the time that I gained. And I at least gained at least an hour a day, which is crazy if you think about it. Probably more. But the silly thing is I didn't really notice my screen time when I was on social media, and I do look at it now, and I think it must be at least an hour a day. So get rid of all of that and you'll have lots of time. If you own a business that fits the narrative, you can become a sponsor of the show. My advertisement rates are pretty darn good right now, so get in touch via info@ja-wol.com. Right, number 6. Join a knit along or crochet along or any other thing along. When you do things together with other people, you get psyched up and hyped up and motivated to choose colors and choose the different combinations of things that you use. And it's just really fun to do things with other people. And for some reason, that motivation, that like hypey feeling really gets you moving and gets you crafting more if you are psyched. So join the knit alongs and the crochet alongs and all the alongs. And while you're alonging, think about this. Tip number 7, join a group online or a community of like-minded people. These people will give you gusto and motivation to make more. And it's just really good to share what you make with other people, but also have people to answer the questions you might have. It's like having private teachers around you 24/7. It's amazing. It's really motivating. And so you want to share what you do with others and you make more to show off more. It just kind of works that way. And as I said, if you get into a slump, if you need some motivation or some support, or somebody that says, come on, you can do it, just start over, you can do it, or try it this way, it'll really make a difference with the amount of things you make, because feeling confident does not always come from within, and can really come from joining a community. So that's tip number 7, join a community or an online group. Moving on to tip number 8, have your things ready to go. In every project bag that I have everything I might need during the making of the project. So I usually have some measuring tape. I probably will have a small pair of scissors. I add all the little tools and things. I know you all have so much of them. I know you don't have just one pair of scissors because I know who you are. You don't have one pair of scissors, stitch markers. So you can put them in all of your different project bags and be ready when you have them ready when you need them. Same with patterns. I've been using Knit Companion app, which is great. It's digital, so I can use it on my phone or on my iPad, and I have my phone with me at all times, so I never lose it. It's always ready. By the way, this is not an ad. They don't sponsor me, although you could, Knit Companion. You can sponsor the podcast. It's really easy to use and to focus on where you were in your pattern because they have these really cool things that you can move around, or print your pattern and make notes and make sure that every time you stop knitting, make it clear that that's where you left off. So the next time that you come, you know where you were, because there's nothing that eats more time than the frustration of not knowing where you left off. Sometimes that will even mean that you don't pick up your project because you know it will take you 30 minutes to figure out where you were. So if you make it a habit of making that clear once you finish your session, it's very helpful. Tip number 9. All right. So you all have to just go out and take your calendar and promise me that you will plan half of a day, or better yet, a whole day each month that is only for you and for your making. Planning it in your calendar means that you take it seriously. It might mean that you have to plan babysitters. It might mean that you have to talk to your partner. And it even might mean that you have to get out the house, find a nice cafe where you can go and sit for a couple of hours to just knit or crochet or whatever it is that you do. You really have to plan it, arrange it, and make it happen. Take it seriously. Tip number 10. While you have your calendar out, you can also get your journal and write 1 or 2 pages about what is so important for you when it comes to crafting, why it lifts you up, why it makes you happy, how does it fit in your life. And once you've thought about that and written about this for 1 or 2 pages, more is better, try to capture this in 1 sentence, put it on a piece of note paper, and stick it somewhere you see it every day. So on your computer, on your mirror, on the fridge, and remind yourself daily that crafting, making, being creative is super important to you, that you need it, and that you have to make time to do it. Now go make that time. If you want all these tips on one easy printable piece of paper, go over to ya-vol.com/pages/time and download it for free. Thanks so much for listening, everybody. It was really weird at first and really strange to be talking into the void, but I'll be doing more of it and I hope you like it. And if not, or if so, please let me know. Just send me an email. I would love to hear what you think, actually. especially because I'm talking to the nothing. So every piece of information that comes back from the world, from the ether to me is highly, highly appreciated. Mail me at info@ja-wol.com. That is JA-WOL.com. And you can find me on jawol.com and find your way into our community via the website as well. If you are a maker or a seller, or a maker and a seller, our online community offers a lot of fun, motivation, and friendliness and inspiration. You can hang out there as a maker and work on your conscious wardrobe, or you can work in our business circle with a group of small business owners in the needlecraft business and we actually do it. We actually make things better by working together. If you are a small business owner in the needlecraft or crafting community, you are very welcome to join our business circle. We still have some spots available if you need to lift up your experience of owning a small business. If you want to know more about branding, about achieving your goals, about marketing, all of that, and doing it in a conscious way, we are your people. You can find me at ja-wol.com. Find the show notes there. Find the portal into our community there. Thanks a lot for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.